I know you're tired of talking about Aaron Rodgers, but hear me out. There is good reason to expect him to succeed this year. In fact, there are lots of good reasons, and all of them are named Mike Tomlin. Let me start with this. When Tomlin had a Hall of Fame quarterback, all he did was win. He and Ben Roethlisberger won 136 games together. In the history of the NFL, only Brady and Belichick won more. Now, I can already hear you. Rodgers isn't that player anymore. Okay, fine. Tomlin is 47, 37, and 1 without Ben. That is an average of 10 and 7 per year with Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Russell Wilson, Mitch Trubisky, Devlin Duck Hodges, Charlie Batch, Justin Fields, Landry Jones, Mike Vick, Dennis Dixon, and Byron Leftwich at quarterback. You tell me which of those guys Rodgers is not going to outplay. Mike Tomlin always overachieves. That's not an opinion, people. It's a fact. The Steelers have gone over their win total in each of their last 5 seasons, and they do it by winning close games. In those 5 seasons, Tomlin has won 65% of his games decided by 6 points or fewer. Rodgers and the Jets were 0-7 in those games last year. He is the perfect coach for what Aaron can still be. And here's one more thing. In Pittsburgh's 3 seasons post-Big Ben, they're 17-2 in games without a turnover. I'll give you one guess. Which quarterback has the lowest interception rate in NFL history? That's right. It's Rodgers. So in closing, let me simply say I have seen this movie before. In 2009, after playing for the Jets and being left for dead, a 40-year-old Brett Favre went to Minnesota, went 12-4, and made the NFC title game. So are you telling me that history can't repeat itself? I would say don't bet against it. That's what I think is going to happen in Pittsburgh this year. Yes.
Boy,
I'll just say it for you.
You cooked.
That was fire. So Brooke Pryor is there with them every single day. I want to dive into what you have seen in the relationship so far, but let's start with that. I'm sitting here telling you, Damian Woody, the Steelers are the steal of the season. They're not going to be good. They're going to be way better than people are expecting. You buy it?
Yes. I'm starting to really buy it right now because, you know, Greeny, we're both Jet fans, and we saw Aaron Rodgers, who was hurt last year. When Aaron Rodgers came back, Aaron Rodgers played a lot better. And I think the point that you brought up, and I think it's a good point, the one thing that Aaron Rodgers does very well is take care of the football. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the way the Pittsburgh Steelers played last year, particularly at the quarterback position, the reason why their defense got worn down, because they didn't get anything out of the quarterback. That's not going to be the case this year. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, and he doesn't have to worry about carrying a franchise like he did with the Jets, they are going to be a lot better than people realize.
The stat that sold me on this, Hembo and I work on these together, the stat that sold me was that Rodgers and the Jets were 0-7 in games decided by 6 points or fewer last year. That's coaching. Coaching is what wins you these games around the margins. You just need to be better at that. Mike Tomlin is to compare Mike Tomlin to what the Jets had in coaching last year. It would be unfair to both sides of them. So it's ridiculous. It's not even worth talking about. He's going to be just this much better, and Tomlin is that much better. This team's going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, I've been high on the Steelers' projection going into this, but I feel like someone has to offer a little sober analysis of the Aaron Rodgers that they're getting.
Yes.
His last 2 full seasons, he wasn't the no interception throwing Aaron Rodgers. He threw double-digit picks in both of his last 2 full seasons, one with the Packers and one with the Jets. And I think that I believe in this situation, not because I think Aaron Rodgers can be the greatest version of himself. It's because, to what D. Wood said, we saw that he still has the ability to make those throws. They're not going to ask him to make a lot of those throws. They're going to rely a lot more on their defense and hope that in those tight situations, the combination of Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin will help them prevail.
All right, so now let's go to our sort of eyes on the ground, if you will. Brooke, you've been there from day one. What have you observed from Rodgers, and in particular from Rodgers and Tomlin?
I've observed a love fest. I have not had them take a love languages quiz. But if I were, I can almost guarantee you their love languages would be the same. It's words of affirmation and it's quality time. What have we heard that Mike Tomlin sold Aaron Rodgers on? It's every time they talked, I'm not talking to you as a coach, I'm talking to you as a friend. Let's spend some time together. Let's bond. Tell me about your inner circle. You mentioned a name one time, I'm going to bring it up next time and ask how that person is doing. What's Aaron Rodgers done since he got to Pittsburgh? He has done that with every single player on the roster. And I mean guys from Julius Welschoff, who is a German outside linebacker that he calls his German friend to Evan Hull. Yeah, very descriptive. That's how he remembers. It's an association. And then Evan Hull, a UDFA running back who he met one time, met his wife and his kid. They stretched together at training camp because that's how he's getting to know these guys, is in the stretch lines. He's not out in front. He's in the back. He's mixing it up. He's trying to get to know people. The way that I look at it and the way that this works and what was missing in New York is that Aaron Rodgers is going into a situation where the culture is set, where the orchestra is assembled. He's not coming in to stage a coup and dethrone the conductor. He's coming in to play like second chair saxophone. Maybe there's a knife in the sax that if things go poorly, then he's going to take over like mid-concert, like stay on your toes. There's no metal detector for the band entrance. But it seems like he is acclimating to the culture that is already set because of Mike Tomlin, because they understand each other, and because they just respect each other in a big way.
Yeah, I mean, I think those relationships certainly help and matter, and I think it's one of those things that it's impossible to measure, but when things get hot, having a relationship with somebody, it matters. But I do think that
Steeler Nation family, I am giving you guys all this why to be excited and why this is going to be like those two could go crazy. And Aaron's had some great receivers, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't had to do like this either. I'm watching them at practice, and it wasn't all perfect. They're still working through things, you know. When they get going, really, I'm telling you, it's going to be something special. If he can have the time to throw the ball, you're going to see some crazy stuff happen. There are some weapons, and Johnny Smith didn't even practice. And talking to Coach T, he's like, Ben. Really? He gives me that Ben. Doesn't really give me anything, just give Ben. Ben.
Now, I'm an active listener, and he said, if he has time to throw the ball, just that little caveat.
That if is doing God's work in that sentence.
Okay. Yes. Kimberly, I'm starting with you. Hi, Mina's back here with us. Are we sleeping on these Steelers heading into the season? Because I feel like we're living in a world of extremes with our expectations for this team.
So I might say something that will blow Cece's mind. Maybe the Steelers are the team we're sleeping on the most. And the reason I say that is because we look at the
snoring on.
He's asleep on the Steelers. I think because when I look at this team, what's the expectations for Aaron Rodgers? What does he need to do? I don't need vintage Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to get that. I think, Mina, you mentioned sort of like point guard type of QB play. We just want competent quarterback play for the Steelers because they haven't had it in years past, and they've still managed to eke into the playoffs. So I think when you look, again, the ceiling and the floor, I think this is a team that people are sleeping on because we think Aaron Rodgers will be so bad. But what if he's decent? I think Mike Tomlin has made it work with a lot less.
When was the last time?
I think the idea that they're going to suddenly be better than they've been in the past few years is based on the false belief that you're getting Rodgers, who I mentioned earlier, Kimberly, that he just needs to be competent. That's fine. But even if he is, let's say he is average and it's a point guard, the run game looks a little better, we still think this team can go toe-to-toe against the Bills, the Chiefs. I do not think so. I also struggle to see how the defense, by the way, has fixed the issue I talked about earlier, the struggles versus Baltimore in big games. It's a fine team. I don't know what to say. I know that's not an exciting take, but they're okay. And I think it's fair to say they're okay, and I think that is the most common perception of this squad.
I never want to be described as, it's a fine team. with Mina in that tone. She's a fine host. She's fine. So politically.
That's like saying they got a good personality.
Politically correct.
The Steelers have a good personality.
That's the word. Or when they're nice. They're nice. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You think they're going to suck? You think they're going to be bad?
I don't think they're going to be very good. I think we're looking at Mike Tomlin's first losing season in 19 years of being a head coach in Pittsburgh.
Can I just ask you one question before you expound on that? To Mina's point, I'm curious. Say we put one of the top quarterbacks in the league on this team, right? Pick whoever you want. How far is this team going? How good is this team? Forget the Aaron Rodgers piece and all of it, because we're putting it all on him, but it's a team sport.
Yeah, I think there's some age regression on the defensive side of the ball, and they've tried to address that, especially in the secondary. They bought over Juan Thornhill in free agency, and so we'll see how that ends up happening. I think it's a net neutral to swap out for Jalen Ramsey and Minkah Fitzpatrick. I probably would have kept Minkah, but they made the decision to do that because they wanted to bring Jonnu Smith on the offensive side of the ball as well. I just don't see how this situation that Aaron Rodgers is parachuting into from a personnel standpoint is going to be markedly better than what he had with the New York Jets over the last couple of years.
Interesting.
You're basically banking the improvement that you're going to see in Rodgers and the improvement in the overall team success on the reputation of Mike Tomlin. And I'm sorry, that's just not enough based on what I've seen last year and over the last half decade. It hasn't been good from the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost 5 straight games to end last season. I get people talking about the numbers that Aaron Rodgers had, 3,700 yards passing, 28 touchdowns. Well, here's the thing. Between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, the Pittsburgh Steelers had the same type of production when it comes to total touchdowns. So I just don't know that it's going to be better, and I do think you have the chance that it could be significantly worse.
Kimberly, I got something for you. You respond, but I want to get into Mike Tomlin.
No, you talk about what they were last year. Did they make the playoffs?
Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, you can say what you want about the standard should be higher.
Steelers Nation, I can't even believe I'm sitting here talking about this right now. We've spent all offseason hyping up this defense, getting excited about our first-round pick, Derek Harmon, a guy who's supposed to come in, learn from Cam Hayward, and immediately make an impact. And then, in the final preseason game against the Panthers, he goes down. And not just any injury, he had to be carted off the field. Man, my stomach dropped when I saw that. I don't know about you guys, but it just feels like a nightmare. You spend all summer watching this kid dominate in camp, hearing reports about how explosive he looked, how he was turning heads every single day, and then in the second quarter of a meaningless preseason game, boom, gone. And the look on his face when they were carting him off, that wasn't just pain, that was devastation. You could tell Harmon knew it was bad. And I don't care how tough you are, when you see a rookie first rounder like that, emotional, clutching his knee, it rips your heart out. And here's the part that really burns me up. Why was he even in the game? Second quarter of the preseason finale, defensive line already thin, and we're risking our first rounder? This is exactly what every fan worries about in preseason. Don't get hurt, just get to week 1. But no, we couldn't make it. And now, a kid who was supposed to be a building block for this defense might be gone before he ever even plays a real snap in black and gold. NFL insider Adam Schefter already confirmed it's a knee injury. We don't know the severity yet, but let's be real, nation. When it's a knee and you're carted off, the odds of this being minor, they aren't good. It just feels cruel. We had visions of Harmon next to Hayward, learning from one of the best to ever do it, adding power and depth to a defensive line that needed it badly. And now, it could be a lost year. And listen, I've been saying it all offseason. This defense is only as good as the trenches. TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are phenomenal. We know that. Cam Hayward is a legend, but this defensive line behind him, thin. Question marks everywhere. Derek Harmon was supposed to help fix that. And without him, suddenly you're relying on rotational guys who, let's be honest, haven't shown they can handle 17 games of AFC North football. But beyond the X's and O's, beyond the strategy, it's just heartbreaking for the kid. First-round pick, dream come true, about to suit up for one of the greatest franchises in NFL history. And in August, before the season even starts, that dream gets ripped away. I'm sick over it. Steelers Nation, I know you're sick over it too. Now, the question becomes, where do we go from here? Do the Steelers look to free agency, maybe a late trade before week 1? Do they just roll with what they've got and hope the rotation holds up? I mean, guys, let's be honest. Cam Hayward isn't getting younger, and this injury just puts a massive spotlight on the depth of this line. And you know what else? This is another reminder of how fragile a season can be. One play, one step, and everything changes. That's football. I get it. But it doesn't make it any easier to swallow, especially when it's a guy you've been counting on to be a difference maker. So here's what I want to know from you, Steelers Nation. How do you feel right now? Are you as angry as I am that he was even in the game that late? Do you think Mike Tomlin made a mistake leaving him out there? Or is this just bad luck, something you can't control in football? And what do the Steelers do now? Can this defense survive without Harmon? Or is this a sign that the front office needs to make a move before week 1? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I know you guys have opinions on this. Smash that like button if you're riding with me through this gut punch of a moment, and don't forget to subscribe. We're going to be tracking every update on Harmon, on this defense, and on what the Steelers do moving forward. Because like it or not, Nation, this changes everything.